Okay. Well, I guess I'll use this opportunity to start build theory. So the best builds for multiplayer, the focused builds, because you're going to be really focusing on one or two main weapons, usually two. The best ones are the Bow Atgeir, Bow Frostner, or Bow Club, and then Bow Sword Shield. And you could make an argument for Bow Crystal Battleaxe, but Crystal Battleaxe kind of falls under a tertiary choice for what is it? For the Bow Atgeir. Every other weapon's just kind of sad though. Unfortunately, they switched knife playstyle, so now it's just kind of eh. They switched what is it? They switched a bunch of stuff in Hearth and Home. But yeah, knives, they wanted to make it more of like a all-around weapon, but it just can't compete with the sword. And thus we have sword and bow. Hey. What the fuck was that? Why am I so low all of a sudden? For real? Get that boy out of there. You, skeleton, causing all my problems. See, a sword would have taken the A-bomb out before it was a problem because of skeleton. This is why one-handed axes are not in the equation. It's getting dark already? But yeah, the main idea is bow, proactive option, good ranged option, kill things before they're a problem, frost arrows on tough targets, regular arrows on not so tough targets, free sneak attack from range. It's the easy best weapon that's going to be paired with everything. And being able to switch so cleanly from bow to a two-hander like the Atgeir or Crystal Battleaxe, and getting off a quick attack from range to melee is why it's why Bow Atgeir is the best focused build in the game. Especially because of all the benefits that the Atgeir has and the Crystal Battleaxe as well. I made 2 guides about both of those weapons. Of course, frost arrows to frost weapon is really good. And having that ultimate control is why the second best setup is Bow, or Draugr Fang to Frostner. Whip out the black metal shield as well. It's going to be really, really powerful. Just lock things down. I also have a Frostner guide about that. Third best situation, Bow, Sword, and Shield. Sword and Shield doesn't fit sort of any of the guide ideas that I've had so far. It's a totally new concept that I have to spend more time in talking about. So, the basic build theory goes like this. Pretty much any casual intuition about just having a decent amount of experience in Valheim, maybe you're at the Iron Age or something, all of your basic intuitions, just going into it, are probably true. So the sword pros, it's basically the mace. Mace moveset, mace speed, different middle mouse, of course, but it's naturally slashing damage and less knockback. But the less knockback means it's a combo machine, specifically on small characters, or small enemies. It's a little dude combo killer. Because of this, the sword has the best reliable damage per second per stamina. So you can't just go off of damage per second, because we have to worry about spacing and timing. It has to be reliable, which the sword has over the dagger. The sword has a bit of range, the sword has more damage on the initial hit so that it can at higher levels and higher weapon quality stagger little enemies, and it can really dish out high damage onto a staggered enemy per whatever stamina that you're going to put into it. And of course, we have to consider stamina because almost everything costs stamina. It's jumping, rolling, sprinting, attacks, middle mouse, it all costs stamina. So we have to keep that into account. Blocking costs stamina, parrying, and all that. Of course, I just mentioned it, but swords also get a Parry Shield, which is nice, because swords go crazy off of staggered enemies, and parrying staggers an enemy. Now, what does this mean? This means that the Barbarian Intuition is true for most sword builds. You gotta smack them, keep smacking them. Reliable damage means that enemies can get stagger locked with just damage. You don't gotta worry about having particular skill, and I'll address that more later. But you just keep smacking, click and hold. Just let them have it most of the time. Of course, you need a good opener, but you have Parry Shield and you have friends, which, if you're running the sword build, means that they're already running Club, Frostner, or Atgeir, Bow, which means they have all the openers in the world. And of course, you're pairing yourself with Bow, which with Frost Arrows also provides an opener. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of the cons actually benefit the sword as well, or the sword playstyle. It's weird. I'll get around to it. Now, first con is there's no proactivity with the sword itself. It's just reactivity. It's like you have your bow, that's super proactive, but the sword and shield, it's reactive. you have neutral play and reactive play, and that's it. Can't proactively run up in middle mouse. Can't walk up Frostner, smack some enemies, and just let them get debuffed. There's bow, but again, that's not sword. Sword and shield itself has no proactive play, just a reactive play. A little bit of neutral play. Second con, it's a time sink to switch from the bow to the sword and the shield because it's shield. So I'll demonstrate with the bow. So Bow Atgeir, it's really quick. I can just switch and launch an attack with the Atgeir. But if I wanted to switch to sword and shield and get a block, takes longer. Takes just a little bit longer, and even then you can mess up because you're trying to panic, get all the things open, get them all open, and yeah, it's not the best. See, trying to immediately launch an attack gets rid of the shield. Like trying to equip the shield. It's really annoying. So yeah, that time could make the difference if facing like a wolf or another quick enemy, or if you're just surrounded. Could be an issue. Hopefully it never comes up, but probably will once or twice. It's gonna be really annoying. Now, this is true for the club build as well, or any one-hander build, because having your shield out will cost you an extra 5% movement speed, which will make you slower than, say, an accurate build, you know? But because of the party dynamics and what the sword is good at, these cons are actually a good thing in the meta level and just a regular level. So here's the idea. Let's take into account the balance of the game. You have the best reliable damage per second per stamina on the sword. If we gave it a proactive option, like if we were just like, oh yeah, well, no problem, we'll make the Frostner a sword and just leave the mace to wallow in its no combo Andy playstyle, or tough combo, not no combo, less combo, then that would, like, who would use clubs post Bone Mass? Nobody. It would all be going for, Frost Sword. Alright? It just wouldn't be, even if there was the Frostner, the Frost Sword would still be preferable to pretty much everybody immediately. It'd be painfully obvious. Or let's say the sword had like an Atgeir middle mouse style of proactive stagger option. Again, like, who would be running other one-handers other than, like, Frostner, or Bone Mass, but like, you get past that point of Bone Mass. Let's say the swords had that proactive option. between then and Frostner, it's like, what would... You wouldn't run the Iron Mace anymore. You'd bring it along just for Stone Golems, but it would completely distort the balance of one-handers. Completely and utterly. So right now, it's like, okay, swords have their niche, and it's a small niche, granted, but it's better from them going from a little niche to absolutely dominating the entire one-handed category. Now, knowing that, we're left with the current playstyle. Current playstyle, super reactive. You parry or you let your friends stagger an enemy, and then you go off. Just pop off non-stop. Now, popping off on a friend's stagger that's good if you have the cons that sword build has. Very convenient. So let's say an Atgeir build is running up to a tough enemy. You have more of an archer set back, and then there's you, the sword build. You're running over with your sword and shield. Who's going to get to the enemy first? Of course, it's the Atgeir guy with the 5% movement speed reduction versus your 10. And the bow guy's doesn't move at all. So the Atgeir guy takes aggro, middle mouses, staggers the guy. And who gets to that guy when they're staggered? It's you, the sword build. And now, sword build gets to go all out. Get all that damage in. Just kill. Just Steve Martin. Not Steve Martin. Steve Harvey. You know, kill, you know. You know, you get to... You know, you kill, you know? Yeah. That's what the sword build does, you know. Sword build, you go in there on a debuffed enemy and you just pop off. It's like, alright, Atgeir is just middle mouse the guy, sword just, you know, demolish. Hey, why is there a million guys over here? What's up with this? Why are there like 7 dudes? But yeah, sword build. So nice. It's so ridiculously nice. You just don't have to put too much thought into it. Legitimately, you run up, you let your friends do their thing, and then you do your thing, which is very simple. Just click and hold. The enemies just die. Just stagger lock it. And I haven't even talked about the stab middle mouse. Sometimes you want to use the stab middle mouse to get your damage off. Sometimes you just want to get your smack, smack, smack. It honestly depends on your sword levels. So, for example, a Greydwarf Brute. Most of the time, at early sword levels, you want to parry it and then smack, smack, smack. And that'll kill it with a bronze sword. Once you get to higher levels, like decent levels in swords, like I think in the 30s or so. Oh my god, there's a million of them. You should be able to middle mouse and just kill him instantly and not have to worry about it. But then again, getting further up in the sword levels, like in your 50s, mid 50s, almost 60s, then you can two-hit combo the Corridor Brute after parry. It's like, okay, whatever. Just kill that guy. Although, you probably won't be using the bronze sword at that point. You'll have iron or silver sword in swords 50s to 60s. Even then, it's like, okay, you would still have to work out when to use a middle mouse after parry versus smack, smack, smack. Most of the time, it's going to be better to smack, smack, smack. And because of that, the middle mouse is just kind of sad. I wish it dealt piercing. I think that would be so much better. But I don't think that's going to change. I'm not sure if we're going to get these multi-damage type you know, moves where it's like, oh, okay, you have one move does this type, one move does the other type. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's either your weapon does that from the get-go with all of its moves, or doesn't do it at all, or it's either everything is double type or everything is a single type, except for bows, which you can just switch arrows, which makes them, you know, makes the bow obscenely convenient. Hey, whoa, hey, whoa, I ain't not interested.